Welcome. You are looking at a planet called Earth, but most of its surface is water. More than 70% of our world is covered by oceans. Yet, humans have explored less than 5% of it. 95% remains unseen, unknown, and full of mystery. The ocean is not just a part of the Earth, it is the dominant feature. Land is the exception. Water shapes continents, weather, and even life itself. Every breath we take is connected to the ocean. Exploration often makes us think of space, rockets, and stars. But here's the surprising truth. We know more about the surface of the moon and Mars than we do about the deepest parts of our own oceans. Why is it so difficult to explore the deep sea? Because the pressure rises rapidly. At a depth of 1,000 meters, water can crush steel. At 11,000 meters, where the Mariana Trench reaches, the pressure can crush a human instantly. Yet, humans have always wanted to go deeper. The ocean calls to us in silence, inviting us to discover what lies beneath. Even near the surface, the ocean is complex. Light fades as you go down. At 20 meters, sunlight still allows coral reefs to flourish. At 100 meters, the world grows darker, quieter, and mysterious. At 1,000 meters, total darkness surrounds you. Creatures that glow with their own light roam the shadows. For centuries, the deep sea was feared. Sailors imagined monsters and gods hiding in its depths. Humans believed life could not survive far below the surface, but curiosity overcame fear. In 1872, the HMS Challenger embarked on a journey to explore the unknown. For 4 years, it measured depths and collected thousands of marine specimens. It proved that life exists even in the deep, contradicting the belief that the deep sea is lifeless. This journey set the stage for the discovery of the Mariana Trench. It is a scar in the ocean floor, over 11,000 meters deep, deeper than Mount Everest is tall. No sunlight reaches these depths. Temperatures are near freezing. Yet, life finds a way. Creatures adapt to extreme pressure, darkness, and cold. The Mariana Trench reminds us how little we know. Even today, humanity's understanding of the deep sea is limited. There is a world below, patient and timeless, waiting for us to explore it. Now, take a moment to imagine yourself floating above this vast, unknown world. The journey is just beginning. In the next episode, we will descend deeper and meet the first humans who dared to challenge the abyss. In 1872, the HMS Challenger set sail from Portsmouth, England. Its mission was simple in words, but extraordinary in ambition, to explore the unknown depths of the world's oceans. On board were over 200 sailors and 5 scientists. They had one goal: to measure the depth of the seas, collect samples, and discover whether life could exist far below the surface. At that time, many believed that no living creature could survive below 500 meters. Humans could not imagine life in total darkness under crushing pressure. For over 3 years, the Challenger traveled across the globe. Its crew measured depths using ropes and weights, sometimes adding more ropes when the bottom could not be reached. In one part of the Pacific Ocean, east of Guam, the crew dragged a rope over 8,000 meters long and still did not touch the seabed. The ocean here was deeper than Mount Everest placed upside down. While measuring, they also dredged the waters to collect marine life. What they found amazed everyone. Life existed far deeper than anyone had imagined. Thousands of species, some unlike anything seen before, were discovered. The theory that the deep sea was lifeless was proven wrong. The Challenger expedition not only mapped unknown parts of the ocean, but it also sparked a revolution in marine science. People began to see the deep ocean not as a place of emptiness and fear, but as a vibrant, mysterious world waiting to be understood. Despite the limitations of the technology at the time, the expedition provided the first clear evidence of the Mariana Trench's extreme depths. It was later refined, but the legacy remained. humans had finally begun to understand the vast, hidden life beneath the waves. The Challenger expedition marked the beginning of humanity's journey into the abyss. It reminded us that even in places we cannot see, life finds a way, and curiosity will always push us forward. Decades after the first Challenger expedition, in 1951, a new mission began. The ship Challenger 2 returned to the Pacific to measure the Mariana Trench with modern technology. For the first time, scientists used sonar, a method of sending sound waves to the ocean floor and recording the time it took for them to return. This allowed them to map the trench more accurately than ever before. The Mariana Trench stretched over 2,500 kilometers, with a width averaging 70 kilometers. Its depths were astonishing. Some parts dropped more than 3,000 meters vertically, and at its deepest point, Challenger Deep, the ocean reached 11,000 meters. Challenger 2 revealed a world of extremes. The trench was not just deep, it was a landscape of canyons, cliffs, and ridges under immense pressure. The oceans, once thought to be flat and uniform, were revealed to be complex and dynamic, full of surprises hidden from the human eye. These measurements set the stage for a new era of exploration. They proved that the trench was deeper than any human had imagined, and that reaching its bottom would require extraordinary courage, engineering, and innovation. Challenger 2's findings reminded humanity that the ocean is still largely unknown. Despite centuries of navigation and research, the deep sea remained one of the last great frontiers on Earth, waiting for the first humans to descend into its abyss. The map was drawn, but the journey had only just begun. And soon, a father and son duo would take up the challenge and design a vessel capable of withstanding pressures that no human had ever endured. In 1960, humanity finally prepared to descend to the deepest point on Earth. The vessel was called Trieste, designed by the physicist Auguste Piccard and his son Jacques Piccard. The design was revolutionary. A spherical cabin made of thick steel could withstand the crushing pressure of the deep ocean. Buoyancy tanks filled with gasoline allowed it to float without relying on cables. Heavy iron ballast could be released to ascend. It was a machine built to survive where no human had ever gone. On January 23, 1960, Jacques Piccard and U.S. Navy Captain Don Walsh entered the Trieste and began their descent. At first, the journey seemed calm. At depths of 40 meters, they could still see schools of fish and coral. But as they descended further, light faded and the pressure increased. By 200 meters, darkness enveloped them. Their searchlight revealed strange, glowing shapes, small fish moving in the blackness. At 1,000 meters, their communication with the surface became unstable. The pressure outside was equivalent to 92 atmospheres, almost 92 times the weight of air at sea level. The glass of their cockpit began to creak and even crack slightly, a reminder of the danger surrounding them. Yet Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh continued. Slowly, they descended deeper than any human before them. At 10,916 meters, they reached Challenger Deep, the very bottom of the Mariana Trench. For 20 minutes, they observed the seabed. Contrary to expectations, it was not barren. Sea cucumbers and anemones moved across the sediment. Shrimp-like creatures scuttled under the surface. Life had found a way to exist in total darkness, under immense pressure, and in near-freezing temperatures. When they surfaced, the world celebrated. Humanity had reached the bottom of the ocean and returned alive. The Trieste had proven that exploration was not limited to land or sky. Courage, innovation, and curiosity had opened the door to the unknown. The descent of Trieste marked a new era. The Mariana Trench was no longer a distant mystery. It was a frontier where humans had finally set foot, and the deep ocean had begun to reveal its secrets. More than 50 years after the Trieste, humanity returned to the bottom of the ocean, this time with a single man at the helm. In 2012, Film director James Cameron, known for Titanic and Avatar, built his own submersible, the Deep-Sea Challenger. It was tall and narrow, like a vertical torpedo, designed to dive faster than any other manned craft before it. On March 26, 2012, Cameron began his solo descent into the Mariana Trench. The journey took just over 2 hours, a fraction of the time it took Trieste. He reached the bottom, alone, at a depth of 10,908 meters, and stayed there for nearly 3 hours. Cameron described the seafloor as alien, flat, silty, and quiet. He collected samples, recorded high-definition video, and brought back sediment that would later reveal traces of microbial life. It wasn't just a personal achievement. It was a scientific mission, a step toward understanding the biology, geology, and chemistry of the deepest parts of our planet. Years later, in 2019, explorer Victor Vescovo piloted the limiting factor to the Challenger Deep, setting a new record of 10,928 meters. He became the first person in history to have climbed the highest point on Earth, Mount Everest, and descended to its lowest. A true traveler between extremes. Then, in 2020, China's Fenduji, meaning striver, carried 3 people to the bottom of the trench, the first time in history that more than one person had reached those depths together. With that dive, China became the 5th country in the world to master human deep-sea exploration at 10,000 meters. Today, only 2 vessels on Earth are capable of carrying humans to such depths: the limiting factor and Fenduji. From Picard to Cameron, from the Trieste to the modern submersibles, humanity's journey into the abyss continues. Each descent reveals not just the mysteries of the ocean, but the limits of human courage and imagination. For as long as humanity has existed, we have looked up to the stars, wondering what lies beyond. But below us, beneath the surface of the oceans, there is another universe. A silent, eternal darkness, one that hides more secrets than space itself. Even now, with satellites orbiting the Earth, with probes reaching other planets, we have explored only 5% of our own ocean. The rest, the remaining 95%, is a vast and living mystery. The Mariana Trench, with its incredible depth of over 11,000 meters, is a reminder of how little we know. Down there, light has never reached. Temperatures barely rise above 2 degrees Celsius. The pressure is more than 1,000 times greater than the air we breathe. And yet, even here, life exists. Tiny shrimp-like creatures, glowing fish, and strange gelatinous beings drift through the dark. Each one evolved to survive in ways we can barely imagine. Their bodies built not to resist the pressure, but to belong to it. Scientists have discovered microorganisms that can live for tens of thousands of years. Their metabolism so slow that time almost stands still for them. Inside their cells are chemicals never seen before on the surface, compounds that could one day help us understand life's origins, or even how it can exist beyond Earth. When Jacques Picard first looked through the cracked window of the Trieste, he saw something move, a living creature at the very bottom of the world. Many refused to believe it, but Picard said, "I saw it with my own eyes." It was alive, and he was right. Even at the edge of human endurance, life found a way. The ocean floor is not dead. It breathes slowly. It shifts, it grows, it hides volcanoes and vents that pour out minerals from the Earth's core. Around these vents, new ecosystems thrive, creatures that do not need sunlight, but instead feed on chemicals rising from the deep. To us, the deep ocean seems hostile and cold, but to them, it is home. And maybe that's the message the sea has always whispered to us, that life adapts, that survival is not only about strength, but about harmony, finding balance with the impossible. Every dive into the deep is also a dive into ourselves. Because the ocean, in many ways, reflects what we are, vast, unknown, and filled with hidden depths we've yet to understand. The next time you look at the horizon, remember that below that line lies another world, where mountains are taller than Everest and valleys are deeper than imagination. A world that waits silently for humanity to listen, not with machines, but with humility. The deep sea is not just a place, it's a question. And every generation, from the Challenger to the Trieste, from James Cameron to the explorers of tomorrow, has tried to answer it in their own way. Maybe the ocean doesn't need to be conquered or fully understood. Maybe it only asks us to wonder, and in that wonder to remember that we are small, fragile, and yet endlessly curious. So as you drift into sleep tonight, imagine the deep, a quiet place beneath the world where time moves slowly and even darkness has life. A place that holds the story of our planet and perhaps the secret of our own beginning.